Before we can build anything, we need to understand the identity of the base 4-3. Madden defines it as a defense built around 4 down linemen and 3 linebackers, designed to generate a pass rush with minimal blitzing while keeping 7 defenders in coverage. And inside this system, every position has a specific archetype: power rusher, speed rusher, nose tackle, run stopper, field general, pass coverage, man-to-man, zone, and run support. Each of these archetypes demands different attributes, different physicals, and different scouting priorities. And if you want your CPU versus CPU defense to actually play like a true base 4-3, you need to build it the right way from the very beginning of your franchise. But before we can build this defense, we need to start where every franchise begins. You can run your preseason however you want: slow sim, fast sim, skip it entirely. But you need to finish weeks 1, 2, and 3 and then cut your roster down to your final 53. That's the moment your real team takes shape. Then you advance to week 1 of the regular season, and that's where our process begins. Now that we're officially in week 1 of the regular season, the very first thing we do is choose our draft class. And for this master class, we always stick with an auto-generated rookies. I don't use custom classes, I don't use imported classes. I want a clean, untouched ecosystem where every prospect is built by Madden's engine. That gives us the most consistent scattering results and most reliable CPU versus CPU simulation outcomes. So obviously we just click choose draft class and keep auto-generated rookies. Once the draft class is loaded in, we don't touch scouting yet. Before we look at a single attribute or physical, we need to write down the positions that actually matter for a true base 4-3 defense. Not every position on the roster, only the ones that define the scheme. So here's the full list you need to build your defensive board. So you're going to want left edge 1, left edge 2, right edge 1 and 2, D tackle 1, 2, 3, and 4, Sam 1 and 2, Mike 1 and 2, Will 1 and 2, cornerback 1, 2, 3, and 4, free safety 1 and 2, strong safety 1 and 2. These are the only defensive positions that matter in a base 4-3 system. Every player you scout, every free agent you sign, every draft pick you make, they all have to fit into one of these exact roles. This list becomes the backbone of your entire defensive footprint. Now that we've got that, the next thing we do is head back to the franchise menu if you weren't in it already, and then you're going to click on GM's office. So we'll click GM's office, and then you want to go down and click Team Salaries. Since this masterclass is focused entirely on the base 4-3 defense, we're going to jump straight to positions that matter, and we're going to start with left edge. This is where you begin filling out the sheet you just created. And the rule is simple. We only care about players who are already signed for the 2026 season. Anyone who isn't under contract next year is treated as an empty slot unless we deliberately choose to re-sign them. So, let's go ahead and start with left edge. The first player we see is Michael Clemens. He's a free agent at the end of the season. He's 28 years old, which means he's entering his declining years, and he's only a 71 overall. In CPU versus CPU simulation, a player like this can easily be replaced by an undrafted rookie next year who has similar attributes and better long-term value. So we don't re-sign him, and we don't write him down on our board. Next is Tyler Barron. He's already signed for next season, so he goes on the list. We'll write him down as our left edge 2, along with his age and his overall. He's not ready to be a true starter yet, but he's young enough and talented enough to develop into a long-term piece. Then we move to Eric Watts. He's also a free agent after this season, and he's heading into his mid-20s, which means his development window is closing. We're not investing in that. So again, I'm not re-signing him, and I don't write him down. Now we move over to right edge. Here we've got Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson, and Braden McGregor all signed for 2026. That means all 3 of them could be written on the board, but here's the key. We only need 2, and we don't assign right edge 1 and right edge 2 based on age, archetype, or overall. Even if the ratings are wildly different, it wouldn't matter. In this case, they're pretty similar, but that's not what we're going off of. We assign roles based on the attributes that actually matter for the position they're going to play in our base 4-3 defense. So, using the system I'm going to be showing you later on in this guide video, we look only at the attributes and physicals that actually matter for the role. Not overalls, not archetypes, not age. Only the traits that translate into CPU versus CPU performance inside a base 4-3. And when we compare the players using that system, you end up with something that looks like this. So as you can see, I've got speed, acceleration, finesse moves, agility, pursuit, and play recognition for both McDonald and Johnson. And then as you can see, Johnson is better in speed, acceleration, pursuit, and play recognition, 4 of the 6 categories that actually matter for a true speed rusher in a base 4-3. McDonald does win in a couple of them in finesse moves and agility, but here's the key. It's much easier to upgrade finesse moves than it is to upgrade speed, acceleration, or play rec. So based off of that alone, the clear-cut number 1 is actually Jermaine Johnson, not Will McDonald. Johnson becomes your right edge 1. McDonald becomes your right edge 2. Is he phenomenal at what he does? Yes. He's phenomenal in blitz packages or specialized formations where his agility and finesse move prowess can shine and flourish. As far as Braden McGregor, he's just depth. He's signed for next year, so he stays on the roster, but we're not going to put him on the board because he doesn't get assigned a role. So now, write it down. Johnson with his agent overall at right edge 1, and then McDonald with his agent overall at right edge 2. And then from here, we continue this exact process for every single position on the defense, deciding who is already signed, who is worth re-signing as an essential piece or a bridge player, and who we're letting walk. Now, once you finish that process, your board, your defensive board, or however you want to call it, I call it my defensive board because I'm doing defensive video, it should look something like this. So as you can see, we have nothing at left edge 1. We have Barron at left edge 2 with his agent overall. Right edge 1 and 2, you've got Johnson, McDonald. You've got Phillips, Briggs, and Smith. D tackle 4 is empty. Sam 1 and 2 is empty. We've got Sherwood and McGough at Mike 1 and 2. You have Williams at Will 1. Nothing at Will 2. Stevens, Brownlee, Thomas, and Stiggers at CBs 1 through 4. Adams at FS 1. Nothing at free safety 2. And then Cisco and Morris strong safeties 1 and 2. So now you do see that I have 4 on there that's labeled as resigns. So those are the 4 that I was telling you about where you go through, and if there's some that you intentionally want to resign that you want part of your your future here, or in Williams' case, as at Will 1, he's that bridge player until we can get somebody. He's solid enough to be a starter, but not necessarily long term. You can re-sign him. So I do have 4 people that I'm going to re-sign there. So this is your foundation. This is your defensive identity. And now that the board is built, we can move on into the next step. The next step is creating our scouting and drafting priority list. This list tells us exactly what positions we need to focus on during the season, during scouting, and when we get to the draft. And the way we build this list is simple, structured, and completely tied to the base 4-3 system and this list that we've already got on the board. First, we're going to look at every position here and identify the roles we do not currently have filled for next season. These are our top priorities. So as you can see, the positions that we must absolutely address in this draft, we don't have a left edge 1, we don't have a D tackle 4, we don't have a Sam 1 or 2, and we don't have a Will 2, and we don't have a free safety 2. Those become our top priorities. The next thing you'll look for is players that we decide to re-sign. Some of these players are long-term pieces, but others are just bridges, as I explained with Williams. Short-term starters who hold the spot until we find the replacement. Those bridge players will become our secondary priorities. So, again, Quincy Williams at Will 1 is our first secondary priority because he's a veteran we're keeping for now, but he's not a long-term solution. The rest of the players who are re-signed still have developmental years left, so they're not urgent. After that, I look for any players who are 27 or older and starting to enter into their regression years. That means they're short-term starters whether we like it or not. They also become secondary priorities. In this case, that gives us Phillips at defensive tackle and Stevens at cornerback. And then finally, we want to build our depth priorities. These are positions where we have players between ages 24 and 26 who are under a 75 overall. These players are replaceable. If we find a developmental piece or a late round steal, these guys instantly become trade chips. For this roster, that gives us 2 depth priorities at defensive tackle. Once you finish this process, your priority list should look something like this. So for our top priorities, you've got left edge, D tackle, Sam, Will, and free safety. Secondary priorities, Will, D tackle, and cornerback. And then depth priorities, D tackle, and then D tackle once again. So this list becomes your roadmap for the entire season. It tells you what to scout, what to target, and what to ignore. And now that we know exactly what our team needs, we can move on to the next step. So first thing we do is head back to the franchise menu, and then we're going to want to click on Hire and Assign Scouts. From here, we're going to go into prospects. I don't go into anything else. So what is on there? So regional breakdown, I don't even pay attention to it. There's no reason to. You go into prospects. This is where we take that priority list we built and expand it even further. We're going to go region by region and count out how many prospects exist at each of our priority positions from the top 5 down through round 4. We're not going to count day 3 undrafted free agents. And to make scouting cleaner and more efficient, we simplify the positions into groups. Left edge and right edge both become just edge. Sam, Will, and Mike just become linebackers. And then, of course, free safety and strong safety become safeties. This lets us scout smarter without losing any accuracy. So we're going to start here in the national region. And, of course, we're going to start at left edge. So we have 4 left edge prospects. And we have 7 right edge prospects. That's a total of 11. So we're going to write that down. Next is the West region. We have 2 right end prospects and 0 left edge prospects. So that's 2 total. Now we go to Central, where we have 2 left edge and we have 1 right edge. So that's 3. We repeat this exact process for every region and every position on our priority list. Defensive tackle, linebackers, safeties, and corners. So again, on when you're doing linebackers, you're going to count for Sam, Mike, and Will as one number, just like you did as left edge and right edge for each region. Okay? So once you're finished, your sheet should look something like this. So as you can see, we have 11 edge in the national. We have 11 edge, 12 D tackles, 12 linebackers, 6 safeties, 13 corners. In the West, you've got 2, 3, 1, 0, and 1. In the Central, you have 3, 3, 3, 2, and 3. Northeast, 6, 4, 4, 1, and 3. And then the Southeast, 0, 2, 4, 3, and 6. So now that we've mapped out how many prospects exist at each position in every region, the next step is deciding which position we want to scout in each region. And this is where most players make their first big mistake. They try to uncover the most talent at one position. But in CPU versus CPU franchise, that's not what we're doing. We're not hunting for the studs. We're hunting for the busts. We're trying to eliminate bad prospects so we don't waste time, picks, or resources. So let's go ahead and start assigning positions. We're going to start in the Southeast. The strongest position is corner with 6 prospects. So that's what we're going to scout there. Move on to the Northeast. The strongest position is edge with 6 prospects. So we're going to scout edge there. In the West, the strongest position is defensive tackle with 3 prospects. So we're going to scout defensive tackle there. Now we move to the Central region. Here we have 4 positions tied with 3 prospects each: edge, D tackle, linebacker, and corner. But remember, we're not trying to stack one position. We're trying to cover all of our needs. Since we already have edge covered in the Northeast, defensive tackle covered in the West, and cornerbacks covered in the Southeast, we're going to assign the Central region to linebackers. And that leaves safeties for the National region. Now, we need to place our scouts. And here, the rules are very simple. Rule number 1, your 2-star scout always goes to National. It unlocks more than enough attributes to make good decisions across every position. Rule number 2, your 3-star scout always goes to the position you need the most and in a region with the most prospects. For us, that's either edge in the Northeast with 6 or cornerback in the Southeast with 6. So seeing they both have 6 prospects, we go based off for our needs, and edge is a bigger need for us, so our 3-star scout's going to go to the Northeast. Rule number 3, every remaining region gets a 1-star scout. There's no need to waste weekly strategy ability slots on having extra 2 or 3-star scouts. You just don't need it. So once you've got that done and set up, it should look something like this. So now as you can see, we've got the Northeast in there, and we've decided on our 3 stars, our 2 stars, and our 1 stars. So now what we're going to do from here is we're going to go back and click on Scouts. We're going to fire every scout that's currently assigned. Every single one of them. Because we want to build this from scratch. We don't need anything that they've given for us. So the first thing we're going to do is look for our national scout. So we're going to look for 2-star safeties. So we're going to go boom, go to safeties. And here we see we have 2 2-star options. One with QB and one with tight end. Since this guide is defense only, it really doesn't matter, so we're just going to pick either. So we're just going to go ahead and pick quarterback. So we'll hire that scout. Now we're going to go for the West. So we need to hire our 1-star defensive tackle. So we're going to go, and then defensive tackle, you see that our options, our secondary expertise lines is we have interior O-line, Mike, interior O-line, and edge. So based on our board, edge is the most useful secondary, so we're going to take that one. Next is for our central scout. So we want a 1-star linebacker. So we're going to go down to linebackers. And that's going to take a little second for us to get there on this one. So there we go. So our options, our secondary expertise is going to be edge, safety, offensive tackle, Mike, and interior O-line. So seeing safety's already covered in national, it's going to be between edge and Mike. We already have 8 edges being scouted between the Northeast and the West, but only 3 linebackers. So we're going to take the scout with Mike as a secondary to help buff the linebackers we're already doing, even though it's only the ones that are going to be labeled as Mike in there. But that's a bonus for us regardless, so we're going to confirm that. Next, we're going to hire for our Northeast. That's going to be our 3-star scout for the edge position. So we're going to go down to edge and see what 3-star options we have. So look, secondary options are defensive tackle and linebacker. Both have 4 prospects, but linebacker is the bigger need. So for us, we're going to choose linebacker. And now for our final scout, we need a 1-star cornerback for the South. So our secondary options is Mike, and tight end. Obviously, we're just going to take one of the Mike scouts for this one. So there's our 5 scouts. So now we're going to go ahead and set them in the roles. So again, corner, we had as Southeast. Our 2-star is national. Our 3-star was Northeast. Our defensive tackle was the West. And our linebacker was the Central. And that's it. We now have the best possible scouting setup for uncovering the most information across all of our needs. Everything is optimized, everything is intentional, and now that scouting is locked in, we're done until week 3. So you can just go ahead, slow some of your games, enjoy the start of the season, or whatever you want, and don't worry about anything else until we hit week 3. All right, and now that we're in week 3, we have one quick job to take care of, and that's going to be regional focus scouting. From the franchise menu, you're going to click on that and then choose regional scouting focus. This is where we lock in positions we already assigned to each region. So for our setup, that means we're going to set up defensive tackle for the West. So let's go to D tackle. Linebacker for Central. So we're going to go to linebacker. Edge rusher for the Northeast. So we're going to go to edge. And cornerback for the Southeast. So there's our cornerback. Once those are set, we're done. There's nothing else to touch until week 8. Now we're in week 8, and again, we only have one quick task. We're going to go to Scouting National Focus and then choose National Focus Position. Based on our setup, we already know the answer. We're focusing on safety for the national region. So you're just going to go over to safety and lock it in. And that's it. Once that's locked in, we're finished with everything until week 13. Before we dive into the full magic of the Masterclass system, do me one favor. If this guide is already helping you see franchise in a whole new way, make sure you hit that like button. It tells YouTube this is the kind of content worth pushing to more franchise players. And if you want the rest of the Masterclass series, every scheme, every blueprint, every position breakdown, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single episode. Almost 80% of my viewers are all unsubscribed, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. This is the kind of system that builds dynasties, and I want you all here for all of it. Now that we've reached week 13, this is where the magic happens. This is where I teach you the full Masterclass system for scouting, evaluating prospects, building your draft board, and choosing your focus players. This is the system that completely transforms how your CPU versus CPU franchise drafts and develops talent. If you've never scouted this way before, get ready, because this is where everything changes. What I'm teaching you is what I call my masterclass scouting system. This system only has 2 rules. Rule number 1, the round does not matter, the traits do. Every prospect is treated the exact same is rule number 2. It doesn't matter if they're a top 5 prospect or an undrafted free agent. We're looking at them exactly the same. And then off of those rules, I built a system which has 3 pillars. Physical grades, which let me get in here so I can show you a little bit more. So on the physicals tab, these physical grades is the first pillar. It's everything that's on here and applies to speed, acceleration, agility, change of direction, jumping, strength, and throw power. These matter because physicals barely change. If a player comes in with poor speed, poor acceleration, poor agility, they will never become a starter in CPU versus CPU simulation. Physicals are the first filter. If the physicals don't fit the role, the player is a bust instantly. Then we're going to move over to attributes. Core attributes, which is our second pillar, is everything else that you find on this tab. A prospect with an A in the right attributes equals a potential starter. A C or a D in the wrong attributes equal a bust. An F in any critical attribute makes them immediately undraftable. And then the third pillar is role-specific requirements, which I'll go over with you guys later as we get to it. That's my third pillar. This is the position-specific physicals and core attributes that determine whether or not the prospect can handle the responsibilities within the role of their position archetype that's within our scheme. All right, so before we start scouting and going through the system, let me explain the system to you a little bit more. So I did a system because Madden's draft projection system is not based on scheme fit, CPU versus CPU performance, physicals, role-specific attributes, or long-term development. It's based on a generic overall potential formula that's done in the background that has nothing to do with how a player performs in a base 4-3, really. That's why a round 1 edge can be a total bust, a round 5 defensive tackle can be a monster, an undrafted free agent will linebacker can become a long-term starter, and a top 5 corner can have poor speed and be completely unusable. This system's going to cut through all that. So some of the main reasons why is because of the fact that I treat every prospect the same. Whether a player is projected top 5, round 1, round 7, undrafted free agent, they all go through the same filters. Those filters is the physical filter that, again, ranges from elite to poor. If the physicals don't fit the role, they're a bust instantly. It does not matter if they're a top 5 pick. A top 5 corner with solid speed is undraftable in our system. And then with the core attribute filter, if one of the critical attributes is a C or lower, they're a bust. It doesn't matter if they're a round 1 or an undrafted free agent. A round 1 will linebacker with a C zone coverage is a bust, but a round 6 will linebacker with a A zone coverage could be a potential starter. And then the role fit filter. If the player doesn't match the base 4-3 archetype, which is what I'm going to show you here shortly, they're a bust. For example, a defensive tackle with finesse moves at an A, but power moves at a C, is a bust for this scheme. So why is this system so powerful, you might ask, and why it should be the one that you use? Well, because we're not drafting based on overall, round projections, archetype labels, combine hype, or mock drafts. We're drafting based on specific individual things: physical ceilings, role-specific traits, scheme fit, and CPU versus CPU performance logic. That's why, following this, your teams will become dominant for a decade. And then another question I've had people ask in other guides, are undrafted free agents included? Yes, in fact, this system thrives with undrafted free agents. Why? Because Madden often generates elite physicals, A/B core attributes, and several hidden gems in the undrafted free agent pool. This system finds them, whereas other players not using this system will miss them. The bottom line is every prospect in the entire class from top 5 to undrafted free agent is evaluated with the exact same masterclass system. If they pass the filters, they're a target. If they fail, they're a bust. Round projection and everything else means nothing. Now, with that said, you guys understanding a little bit of the background, let's go ahead and get started with left edge. In this scheme, that would be a power rusher. And I'm going to go ahead and do it different this time. I'm going to throw it up so you guys can see instead of having it all at the end. That way you guys can kind of follow through. So for left edge rusher, these are the physicals and core attributes that you're looking for. as well as the role they actually play in a base 4-3 defense. So for left edge, the main thing we're going to look for first is obviously physical. So the first thing I'm doing is going to strength. So I'll get my strength sorted out. So I'm only going to select edges that have a strength of potential of good or higher. And I know you can't see all of it, but I'll show you at the end. You know, we'll have all this stuff missing and you'll see who's on the board. So I've got elite there. I've got great, great, good, 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 and good. Everyone beyond that, their strength abilities is the highest they can get solid. So they're not on the board. They're automatic busts. We do not select them. The next is acceleration. It needs to at least be solid or higher. So if you remember on how this works when we look into it, so solid is the next level below good. So anything that's not elite, great, good, or solid is going. So again, let's go ahead and sort this back out to the ones I selected. And we're going to go to acceleration, and I'll get this so you guys can see the acceleration part at least. So here, decent, gone. They'll stay. This guy's gone. He'll stay. He'll stay. Stay, 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 and stay for now. Okay, so that eliminated a few of them. So now our edges is down to this. So the next thing we want to look for is speed. They need to have at least decent speed. So decent, solid, or higher. So I can't get that one on the board for you guys all the way, but we've got solid option here. Marginals gone. Solid, good, solid, marginal gone, and elite. So we've now got it down to these players. Next is agility. That one I can show you. You want, so anything marginal or higher is okay for them. So really, unless they're a straight poor, they're going to stay on the board. So that's not much of a thing. And the same with change of direction. You mainly just want the poors. If they're poor, that's essentially an F grade. They need to be gone. So in our first pillar, we now have 5 left edges that met that criteria. Now you do the same for right edges that fit into this part. I'm only going to do it, one at a time on this one just to make it more simple, but you would do the same thing on the other side. It's just a little bit more tricky, so you want to write down the names because you're going to have to go through for both power and speed, because you can get speed rushers from either side, and the same with power, so just keep that in mind. But once you've got your physicals and you've got it all down, now you go to attributes. So now they need to pass our attribute pillars. So the first thing is power moves. They need to be at least a B or higher. If they're not at least a B or higher, they are removed. So now that you can see it, B, 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 that's unknown right now, but a D. He's gone. He's not a power rusher. So now we're down to 4 on this one. So next thing is block shedding. Needs to be at least a B. So let's go ahead and go over to block shed. Right here we have an F, gone, D, gone. These two we don't know yet, so they're going to stay on the board until that makes, we can either lock them in guaranteed or remove them. Next is play rec. Needs to be at least a C. Both of them have a C. Tackle needs to be both a C, B an unknown, and then pursuit. They're both unknown. So as of right now, until we figure out more information from them, these two are on here. So the role of an actual left edge is they must set the anchor on that strong side. They have to win with power and be able to stop the run first. So that's what these physicals and core attributes are geared towards. That's what we're looking for. We're not paying attention to the projections or anything else. This day 3 edge could be better than a 80 overall that's starting right now because they have the right attributes in the right places. That's kind of what you're looking for. Okay, so now we're going to move to right edge. So same thing, we're going to start with physicals. So we're going to go back to the physicals tab for right edge. We're going to go over and we're going to start this time with speed. So for speed, they need to be great or higher. So we've got 2, 3, and that's it. So this one's not in there. We need our speed rushers to be speedy. So as you can see, this top 5, we're not selecting because he's only got a potential for good or higher. That is it. He can't go any higher with his speed. Good's the highest. I need great. So we've got 3 prospects for that. So next we go to acceleration. It needs to be great. Good, not there. Great, good, elite, great. So we're down to 2. Next is agility, needs to be good. They're both good there. Change of direction needs to be good. They're both good there. And then strength can't be any lower than marginal, which neither of these are. So these two move on to the second pillar of testing. So now we go to attributes. So the first attribute that matters is finesse moves. Needs to be at least a B. They both have an A. Play rec needs to be a C or higher. They have it. Pursuit, C or higher. They both have it. Tackle, C or higher. They both have it. Block shedding, C or higher. Oh, they don't have it. So even though they're labeled as a top 5 or in round 1, these two have potentials to be a bust. Now, are they a bust? Most likely, probably not. But with my system, to me, especially because they're a top 5 round 1 pick, it's not worth the risk for them possibly being a bust because they need to be able to get block shedding. You know, your right edge is your blindside pressure generator. Speed and burst matter more than anything. So if they fall into later rounds, I might look at them, but I'm likely going to have round 1s and top 5 options that are better and that are actual stud players that I want to keep. So both of these are removed. So it is what it is. We treat everybody the same regardless. So now we move on to D tackles. So for D tackles, we're going to start again in physicals. You always start with physicals, and the first thing we're going to do is go over to strength. We're not doing anybody that can't be at least great or higher, so we're going to just do them. So let me go through and select them all. That's quite a bit for this. Okay, so we got them selected. Next is acceleration, cannot be poor. So I don't think any of these are really, I mean, there's a couple you have to watch for, but they're not there yet. They don't have single ratings yet, so we're going to hold off for now. Same with speed, agility, and change of direction. They can be poor. Those are fine. D tackles, that really doesn't matter. So right now, all of those tackles make our list. But now comes in where all of it matters. So now we're going to do core attributes. So we're going to go down to the last one and go over to block shedding, which needs to be a B or a higher. So he's gone, 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 and he's gone. So right there alone, that drops us down to 5. So now we go to power moves. Power moves needs to be a B or higher. He's gone, he's gone, he's gone, he's gone. That leaves us 1. Play rec needs to be a C. We don't know it yet. Tackle needs to be a C. It's an A. Pursuit needs to be a C. It's unknown for right now, so we have a defensive tackle on the board. Now we go to SAM Linebacker. So same thing, physicals. First thing we're looking for is strength. Has to be at least decent or higher. So if they can't get at least decent, they're not on our board. So right now, everybody is on our board. So let me just get them all. So they're all on there now. Next is speed. Same thing. They all need to be decent or higher. If they can't get at least decent, they're not on our board. They're all still on there for now. Acceleration needs to be solid. So that knocks 4 off the board. And then agility needs to be decent. So these two, he's off the board, and he was already off the board. And then change of direction needs to be decent. And he's already off the board. So that drops us down to these players that go into the second pillar of testing. So first thing we're going to do now for core attributes is block shedding. Once again, B or higher. So we go over to block shed, B to D, B to D, C to F. So he's gone. B to D, B, unknown, B. So we've got 1 elimination from that. Now we go to tackling. Tackling needs to be at least a B. I'll move that over so you guys can see. As you can see, they're all A's or a B, so that's good. Next is hit power. Hit power needs to be at least a C. They're all good for there. Play rec needs to all be a C. C to F, B to D, A to C. So as of right now, they all have the potential to be a C. and then pursuit is the last one. And they all have that potential as well. So your SAM has to play over the tight end and must win the point of attack. So that's what these attributes are geared for. So for now, those are our options for SAM. Now for MIKE Linebacker, Mike's the defensive QB. They must be able to diagnose plays and anchor the middle of the field. So the first thing that matters for physicals is speed, and it must be at least decent. If they can't get decent, they are gone. So these three won't make it, so I'll be able to highlight everyone above that. Okay. And now we're going to go to acceleration, which must be solid. So let me just do that. Go back down to the bottom, and then I'll move over so you guys can see acceleration. And again, they must be able to get solid or higher. So solid, decent, marginal, he's gone. Marginal, he's gone. All right, so that gets them sorted, knocks out a few more players. Then it's agility, which must be decent. So we're going to move that over. Marginal poor, he's gone. Marginal poor, he's gone. So knocked out a few more there. Go back down. And then strength needs to be decent. So you won't be able to see this one, but he's gone, he's gone, he's gone, and he's gone. So that's going to drop us down to a handful of 5. And now we go to attributes. So the 5 attributes that matter, we're going to start with play rec. Needs to be a B or a higher. And we've got a C, he's gone. B, B, unknown, and A to C. So next thing is going to be awareness. Needs to be a B or higher. They can all get a B as of right now. Next is tackle. Needs to be a B or higher. They all fit that for now. Zone coverage must be a C or higher. That's all there. And then pursuit must be a C or higher. It's all there for now. So now that we've got that done, we can go ahead and move over to will. All right, so for will, we start with physicals. And the first thing is speed. Needs to be great or higher. If they can't be great, they're not on our board. So we only have 4 options on our board for now with speed. So next is acceleration must be great. This guy's gone. We're down to 3. Now agility must be good. Gone, gone. We're down to just 1 now on the will. And obviously, you know, for linebackers, you do all of them. I'm not for this video, just so it doesn't extend longer than it really needs to go over all this with you guys. Next is change of direction must be good. It is. And then strength needs to be at least marginal, which it is. So we're going to take our 1 will that passed the first round of checks to the attributes to see if he can pass the last round. Zone coverage needs to be a B. So let's go down to zone coverage. A to a C, so he's still on there for now. Play rec needs to be a C, and it is. Pursuit needs to be a C. It is. Tackle needs to be a C. Right now it is. Man coverage needs to be a C. And it is. So the will, who must cover space, chase backside runs, and play in coverage, we have 1 that's available. Now we can go to corners. So now on corners, again, start with physicals. Most important trait for them is going to be speed initially. And it needs to be at least great or higher. So let me go down. So we got quite a few to start. So just selecting them all right now. Got it. Next is acceleration must be great or higher. So let me just get back down to the bottom of it, which is right there. Okay. So go over so you guys can see the acceleration. And again, it needs to be great. So he's gone, 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 gone. So let's go ahead and zoom back over, resort that. Next is agility, must be good or higher. Gone, gone. The rest of these are good. So now we're down to our top 4. Change of direction is next, which must be good. Gone, gone, and gone. So we are now down to 1. Robert McGahee. And then jumping needs to be good. It's not. He's gone. So now we have no corners in this draft. Now we're going to look at free safeties. We're on physicals. Again, speed needs to be great. Option there. Acceleration needs to be great, and it's not. So our one option is gone. For strong safety, speed can be solid. So we're going to go over and select anybody that can at least get a solid or higher, which stops right there. Now acceleration needs to be solid or higher. Gone. 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 And gone. So now we're down to that. Next is strength needs to be decent or higher. So it's really just marginal or poor is getting removed. He's gone. So that's good. And then agility needs to be decent. And change the direction. So decent. So again, it's just marginals on either are gone. And there we go. So now we've got 4 to go into attributes. First thing we're looking for is tackling. It needs to be a B or higher. None of them meet it. They are gone. So, strong safeties have to play in the box, support the run, and handle flats and curls. So now off of that, our favorites list, we have 14 players right now that fit it perfectly. Now, you can drop it 1 letter grade to add more, but think about it. If you're also doing offense, you're sitting probably around 30 or maybe even more on your board with things still not uncovered. And you're only going to be drafting, on average, 7 to maybe 10 if you're doing trade stuff like that. And as you can see from this, on their projections, I have a top 5. I have rounds 1 to 2. We have 2 to 3s. We have 3 to 4s. We have a day 3, and we have undrafted free agents still on the board. So right now, we have the best players available that fit all of our needs based off of what we have. All right, and now that we have our draft board done, we can go ahead and go to our focus players. So let's get out back to the main menu and go to Scouting Focus Player, and then choose Focus Player. All right, so now that we're on here, let's go ahead and go to favorites. And let's go based off scouting percentages. So as you can see, none of them have high scouting percentages unlocked really yet. So what we want to do is go by the top priority that we have. So our top priority position is edge, D-tackle, SAM, or linebackers, and safeties. So I'm actually going to want to uncover some stuff. So we know that we have safeties, but we don't have any safeties available, so that's fine. But these guys that are down here, they're probably going to be available for us to pick up, so that's not a big deal. Same with some of the 3-4s that's there. So what I really want to figure out is this top 5 guy really a top 5? So we're going to select him. And then we've got multiple things here. We've got edges down here, which I'll probably look at on the next one. For now, we're going to go ahead and do this Will and this Mike. Confirm that. They're in. And now that we've got both the draft board and we have our focus players done, we now have nothing to do until the week before the draft. So now you can do whatever you want to do as far as, simming your games, worrying about coaching, stuff like that. So just go ahead, slow sim your games, handle your re-signings and releases when you get to the off season, manage your coaching staff, and just enjoy letting the season play out. There's nothing else you need to touch on a scouting side. The system's already working for you in the background. All right, so now that we're at that last week here, let me just show you what we are in the week before the draft now. So we're going to go into Scout Players, go to Prospects again, and we're going to check the prospects that we have left. So we're going to go ahead and go to left edge. because now everything that can be uncovered is going to be uncovered. So we're going to check their physicals and all that again and make sure that no one got eliminated so we can have our selections for the draft coming up. So we're going to go ahead and again, strength needs to be good. They both are. Acceleration needs to be solid. They both are. Speed needs to be decent or higher. They both are. Agility needs to be marginal, which they both are. This one's kind of on the border because he's still dual, but we'll leave him on the board for now. And then change of direction needs to be marginal, which they both are. So now we go to core attributes. Go down, and then power moves needs to be a B. They both still got a chance for B. Block shedding needs to be a B. Ooh, but they're both Fs. So they are off our board. Now we move to right edge. If we have any, we do not. So D tackles, we have one. So for D tackles, we're going to go to physicals first. And it's going to be strength. Needs to be great or higher. It's got great. Acceleration needs to be marginal. He's got elite. Speed, agility, and change of direction can all be poor, so none of the rest matters. So that's perfect. So let's go to attributes. Block shedding needs to be a B. It is. Power moves needs to be a B. It is. Play rec, a C or higher. It is. Tackle, a C or higher, which it is. And pursuit, C or higher, which it is. He's got almost A's across the board. So they say he's top 5 projection, top 5 talent, but we don't really care about that. But he fits our stuff, so he's going to stay on our board. Now we're going to SAMs. So again, we're going to go to physicals. Strength needs to be decent or higher. And again, that's solid, decent, so no marginal or poor. So all the strengths are good. Speed needs to be decent or higher, which it all is. Acceleration needs to be solid or higher, which it is. Agility needs to be decent or higher. That one's gone. And change of direction needs to be decent or higher, which it all is. So now we go to attributes once again. We'll pull that. And then block shedding needs to be a B or higher, which they all have the ability to. Tackle needs to be B or higher, which they all are. Hit power needs to be a C or higher, which they can all meet. Play rec needs to be C or higher, which looks like it's all going to be. Leary's questionable. And then pursuit needs to be a C or higher, which it looks like they all meet. So we could literally draft any of these SAMs. So there's no rush to necessarily get the top one. Now we're going to check Mike's. And then for Mike's, we need to go to physicals again. First one is speed. We need to make sure they're all decent or higher. They are. Acceleration needs to be solid or higher. They are. Agility and strength both need to be decent or higher. So agility is good, and now strength is good. So now we go to the attributes again. Just get our top 4 up. So play rec needs to be a B or higher. They all meet it so far. Awareness, B or higher. They meet it so far. Tackle needs to be a B or higher. It is. Zone coverage needs to be a C or higher, which they all are. And then pursuit needs to be a C or higher, which as of now they all are. Next is going to be our will linebackers, if we have any of them left. We have one. So let's go to physicals. Speed needs to be great. It is. Acceleration, great. It is. Agility, good. It is. Change of direction, good. It is. Strength, marginal. It is. So let's go to attributes. Zone coverage needs to be a B, which it is. Play rate needs to be a C. It is. Pursuit, a C. It is. Tackle. It is. And then man coverage. It is. So that will meets our criteria as well. Corners, we have nobody. Free safeties, we have nobody. Strong safeties, we have nobody. So we've only got 11 players on our board, but it's 11 guaranteed players that fit it. And we can use 2 Sams, we can use 2 Wills, or a Will at least. We can use at least a Mike. So I mean, that's 2, 3, that's 4 players. The D tackle is 5. So the rest can be A, trade bait, or you can trade away the players you have and start fresh there. But always just draft the players that fit. Even if you have to draft multiple and you don't necessarily need them, that just gives you trade bait to trade for a position of need for a younger player somewhere else. So it allows you to do those trades that you need to get your team to where it needs to be at, and then be fair trades. So with that said, we need to figure out, so we've already got a couple that we like. So we could somewhat go off of talents now. So we can scout private workouts. We can go to favorites now. But actually, you know what? First, let's go ahead and check the mock draft, specifically to see where we may be drafting. So we're going to be drafting 4th and 5th. So there's a chance to get them. So based off of this, you're going to have Walker, Huron, and Hart going before we get there. Walker is probably going to be gone. Huron and Hart is not on our board. So the only one we're really losing is our big top 5. So the main thing we want to do is see if any of our other players that are projected to go earlier is a top 5 or not. Or maybe try to work out a trade to get up to get Walker. So let's go ahead and do our focus. We're going to do a Sam, and this Sam, and see if any of them are worthwhile. So scouting, private workouts, favorites, go by projection. We're going to do boom, boom, and boom. So confirm them, yes, and advanced week. All right, so we can go to scout college players again, check out the prospects, and see what we've got finalized here. So as we can see here, based off of how they're going, we don't want to waste our first round pick on this guy. So we have round 1s to 2. So we can either make a trade up to try to get this defensive tackle, or we want to trade down and see where this Sam and Mike's going to go, and see if we can just grab 2 of them. So we've got Girds, Crothers, and Hamels. So let's see what the mock drafts show. Girds, Crothers, and Hamel. See? Crothers is going at 24, Hamels is going at 25, and then Girds is going there. So we want to make sure we're still above 24 and 25, and we don't want to let the Bears or the Bucks move up. And then who else is supposed to be drafted? The Ravens. So the Ravens, the Bears, or the Bucks, we don't want to move up, and we would want to drop below that. So let's go ahead and see if we can get a trade, though. Who's got that first round pick? So trade finder. And I forgot to look who it was. So we can trade our 4th and our 5th strictly because I do have 3 first rounds next year, and I'm willing to pay for him if if that's all it's going to take. I doubt that's what they'll do. We can even try to see if like a fourth and a second, or first and a second, since it's only a few picks back, will work. So let's see if we can get the first pick with that. So let's see who's got number 1. There we go, the Browns. Let's see if they will take this trade. They will not. So let's see what they're wanting for this. They want Membu, both first. Yeah, that's not going to happen. They want both first this year or first next year. No, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen, and that's not going to happen. So it looks like we're not going to be able to trade up because I'm not going to give all that up. So we're going to just trade down then. So let's see what we can get offered for that. So we can get a corner who's 25 at 86. Good on tackle. We're doing defense. Too old. And you want to get young. And this is what I'll sum out for trades and stuff like that because we know what we have. So really it'd only be DJ Turner. So we can select that. And let's see if he fits what we need. So let's view player card. And we'll go to ratings. So what do we look for in corners again? So in corners, we want great speed. So what's his speed at? 96. So that's perfect. Acceleration should be good. Great. 97. Perfect. Agility needs to be good. 92. That's great. Change of direction needs to be good. Let's see if it even shows us change of direction. It does not. That's all right. Jumping is great. 92. Strength. Just need decent. 43 is kind of weak, but it might be doable for a corner. Man coverage is at 90, so that's great. Press 77, so it's almost a B. It's almost an 80. Play rec 82, so that's good. Zone coverage. Let's see, does he have any zone? 84, so that's also good. And then awareness is almost an 80, so that's not too bad. So we can get another corner, get up our fourth. We still have a first rounder, and then we pick up an additional third and a seventh, and pull in a corner that is going to be pretty solid for us. So I think we will go ahead and take that, but let's see if I could get a first out of them. Do a first and a Turner. I'll move back, and they give me a Turner. Almost. So if I do a fourth and a sixth, or a first and a sixth, will that work? No. First and a fourth. I'll do a first, a fourth, and a sixth, if that'll work. I know that's an overpay, but almost there. So let's see, maybe a little bit earlier sixth. Nope. And I'm not giving up a second round pick. You know what? If it's just a drop back from 36 to 54, maybe they'll do it. Okay, so I'll trade a first round of this year and a second round this year for a first and a second this year and Turner. And it moves them up. So that works. And now if we look, we could still do another trade. So trade finder. So for our picks, we're still above where we need to get our one player that we want. And we still got the fifth. So let's go ahead and add the fifth in, and let's see what offers we get for that. Yeah, I don't see them actually trading off Cooper, so I'm not going to take that. That would be ridiculousness. Another corner and Porter. I mean, that's possible. He's 25. I mean, that would solidify our corner room pretty decently. It's 25. He's 79. We go up a first, and we get a second, a third, a fifth, and a seventh. We might be able to try to squeeze a first out of them. So remove the seventh and the fifth. Let's try to make this fair. So to drop back to 20. And another pick inside the top 100. And maybe another sixth. Almost. So let's see if they'll do it without the sixth. They won't. So if I change that third to a fourth and a sixth. Almost. Oh, they're being really picky here. Okay, maybe a fifth. Let's give it a shot. No? Okay. So I'll move back and take Porter. That's fine. Oh, and they don't want to do it. Okay, so then I will add in a sixth. I'll do that. If they'll take it, sure, why not? And they won't. Of course not. What about another one next year? Let's see what I've got for next year. Multiple sixths again. Here, let's just add in another sixth from next year. They almost took it. Maybe the first sixth round next year. Almost. Alright, so let's do our last late sixth round and then a fifth next year. And they got it. So we got our cornerback room is situated now for this next season. And we can still get two of the players that we wanted in the first round. So let's go ahead and start drafting. And let's go ahead and pause the draft so the time doesn't run out on us. And let's advance to user pick. Alright, so make your selection. Favorites are all on the board except for that one. So based on projections, they project all of these guys to go first. There's only one Mike, so I'm going to take him first. So let's go ahead and take Hamels. We'll draft him. He was ranked, what, 36th in true value, and we got him at 20. So Joe Hamels was ranked 36th in true value. We drafted him at 20. And he's a hidden dev. So that works. Skip ahead to the next user pick we have. And make a selection. Pick player. And again, we can pick either SAM we want. So now what we can do is compare them based off of what we look for a SAM. And see which one is the best as far as the stats go. So we'll go to physicals. Get our ones up there again. And they were all there. So let's just do the first two rounds. There we go. So the top two. So first thing was strength. They're even on that. Speed. So it looks like Girds is leading the way on that. Acceleration kind of evens them out. Agility, they're even. Change of direction, they're even. So it's going to boil down to attributes, it looks like. Let's go ahead and get them both back up to the top. So it's going to be block shedding. Then we're going to have to go way over to get that. And it doesn't show for either of them now. Oh no, that's break sack. Sorry, what am I doing? Black shed, so they're both a B. Tackling, they're both A's. Hit power, they're both B's. Play rec, they're both A's. And then pursuit, they're both A's. So it's speed or agility. I think we're going to take the speed over agility. So who had the greater speed here? Elite speed right here. So we're going to take Girds. The speed is more important than agility. So he was ranked 50 in true value. We drafted him at 22. Hidden dev. And we will skip ahead to our next pick. And that's a Mike and a Sam we're able to pick. We got 2 picks in this round. It'd be a reach, but we can guarantee our will. I mean, all these are players that we want anyways. So I'm thinking let's go ahead and get the will so we get our will. We'll draft. Hidden dev. Skip ahead to our next pick. Make our selection. A 3-4 Mike. Go ahead and draft him. Normal, 90 speed though for a Mike, that's crazy. He was 46 in true value, we drafted him at 63. So let's go ahead and skip ahead and draft. Round 4, let's see if we have anyone still. We do. Let's go ahead and just pick one. We'll draft him. 129 true value, we drafted at 100. Normal dev. We'll skip ahead to our next user pick. And obviously, as you see, if you had offensive players, you'll have more options. You'll be able to do a little bit better of a job. But here we go. We'll make our selection. And he's still there, so we'll take him. Because we can always flex them depending on what their attributes are for other ones as well. So 170 in true value, we drafted 187. Normal dev. But these all have attributes that we need for their positions. So we'll skip ahead and draft. Advance to the next user pick. And we have none remaining. So that's that. So let's see how it shaped up for our draft. And there we go. 75, 74, 71, 74, 69, 67, 64. 64 was not us. That's a left tackle. So ours. The lowest we had is 67. So they're developmental. Still better than some of the ones that we had. And yeah. So that's the best way to do it. So I mean, even if we go into adjust roster now. Let's go to left edge. So now, you know, I didn't do free agents or anything on this one. So we've got Barron there. We got Johnson McDonald. So I mean, we could see which one of them worked the best as a left edge and move them over. D tackle, we're going to have to sign one. Sam, you've got Girds, Leary, and Arnold. So we've got a starter right here. We've got a backup that's almost a 70, so that's great. And another one that's 67, so we could probably move them around. For Mike, we got Sherwood and Hamels. So, I mean, we could easily turn Sherwood into a trade target and let Hamels take over. And then we still have Williams to back him up. So that works perfectly for us. And then at will, we have Anderson, who we could slot in as a starter and trade away Williams for, you know, a round 4 pick or, you know, a little bit more or whatever, and they fill in some gaps. And then from our trades in our corner room, we have DJ Turner, Darian Porter. Stevens is now a trade target. You have Azaria Thomas, and you have Brown Lee. And then Stiggers is now up to a 70. So we've solidified our cornerback room. We've got our future middle linebackers lined up already. We've got Adams carrying the bridge for now. And we've got Moore and Cisco both here, and Moore's kind of taken over, which throws Cisco into a trade target. So as you can see, this really helps get the targets that you need. You only draft players that their attributes fit. So even though they might not be the highest overall, they're going to play well. That's how you do it. So that's the best way to do it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave comments down below. And again, if this helps you at all, or you're excited to try it out, let me know how it goes on your first one. Make sure that you subscribe, hit the like button, hype up this video, get out to other franchise players so that they can learn to scout and draft better. That way you're guaranteeing players that can have the right attributes that you need. Remember, the overalls don't matter. Even though it's 67 at first, they're going to play well, which means they're going to rank up faster. So even with normal dev, they're going to get those, those game goals, those season goals, stuff like that. And all you need is a couple of good games in the right weeks, and suddenly they have devs. So don't stress about not getting devs. You will get a lot of devs. As you saw, I think our first 4 picks in a row were all devs. So it works. This is the best system that there is. You will never fail using this system as far as getting players that actually play the way they should when it comes to CPU versus CPU. But again, make sure you like this video to get it out to others, and I will see you guys in the next guide. And as always, Skol!